Hello, everyone. My name is Paul Zastro. I'm a senior pre and post sales systems engineer at Barcodes. At the Barcodes Group, we have a family of companies. On behalf of the Barcodes Group and Extreme Networks, I would like to thank you for attending our webinar. Today's topic is Extreme Intuitive Insights. We know your time is precious, and we hope you gain some valuable insights into the solutions we're going to be going over the next half hour. Two housekeeping points before we get started. The session's being recorded. You'll receive a link over the next few days by email. And second, please submit your questions as we go throughout the presentation in the Q&A section. We'll be addressing those towards the end of the webinar. Yuri, next slide. Barcodes Group is a premier provider of barcode, mobile computing, RFID solutions, and more. As a partner with the leading global manufacturers and software providers, our solution platforms bring together hardware, software, supplies, and support to meet your unique needs and applications. My team works with customers across the US, and we have teams in Canada as well, and we also have an international presence. Next slide. So here are your presenters for the webinar. Again, I'm Paul. I'm a senior engineer here at Barcodes. I've spent nearly 30 years in IT, over a decade focused on wireless and LAN. We help customers across the country with our managed services, professional services teams. One of our core verticals is warehousing and logistics, but really anywhere barcodes, scanners are needed and barcodes are used, that's where we are. Doug and Yuri are joining me today from Extreme Networks, and we'll have them introduce themselves. Doug, please introduce yourself, followed by Yuri.
Hello, everyone. Happy to be here today. My name is Doug McDonald. I'm a director of technology in the office of the CTO at Extreme Networks. I'm a recent addition to the Extreme team. I've spent the last 25 years on the customer side. I came to Extreme to help bring that knowledge and to help drive innovation and the new product that you'll see here today. Yuri?
Hello, everyone. My name is Yuri Ostrovsky, Senior Product Manager at Extreme Networks. I'm working for Extreme almost 16 years on a variety of roles, currently under Alliance and Office of the CTO team. Thank you.
Next slide. So here's the agenda for the next half hour. We're going to talk about troubleshooting the common connectivity issues that exist wherever barcode scanning is done, and how a great new feature in Extreme's cloud called Extreme Intuitive Insights can allow for seeing things both from the network side as well as the Zebra device side. Next slide. At this point, I'd like to again welcome and turn it over to Doug and Yuri from Extreme Networks. Go ahead, Doug.
Thank you, Paul. So we'll dive right in here. So I'm going to give just a short few minutes background on the high level of what Extreme Intuitive Insights is, and we'll transfer over to Yuri. He's the star of the show. He'll show you a live demo of what functionality we have with the product. We just recently came out with this product, Extreme Intuitive Insights, and we're very excited. I certainly know, as being a customer, a lot of times what I would face was I'd look at these great things, networking tools and dashboards, and I'd see a lot of green lights everywhere. But what I didn't know is oftentimes there were device sets, subsets within my environments that were not having a good experience. So in IT, what we really like to do, and this is just something I think we all have a tendency to do, is we like to finger point. We like to say, well, it's not the device, it's the network. It's not the network, it's the transport. It's not the transport, it's the storage. But how do we really come together and focus on business outcomes in a way where we have an opportunity to have visibility where we don't have this finger pointing? And in this case, we'll show you, and I'll go into it a little bit more, we'll have the ability to get more data available so we can stand hand in hand together with vendors and help alleviate some of that finger pointing. So is it that device? Is it the network? Maybe the devices were upgraded last night, but maybe it's always the network. I used to run a lot of blinking lights in very large organizations, and it's always difficult to come to what I would call mean time to innocence. And mean time to innocence to me means that we simply understand what parties need to be at the table to fix the problem in the quickest manner possible without impacting the business. Your next slide, please. So really what we look at is in the spirit of business outcomes is how can we enable your IT teams to do a few things. One, consolidate some of the tools to provide some of this visibility that we're talking about. Cross vendor is where we've been focused. Gain visibility of what's going on from a performance perspective, from that device inventory perspective of these devices specifically, and then how in general, obviously none of us are getting more budget for more headcount. There's always an ask to do more with less. How can we help free up some resources, be more proactive in general, and get to the root of some of these business problems, perhaps before someone has to take time to come off the warehouse floor and actually open a help desk ticket. So it's really our goal to how we can provide better outcomes. Next slide. So introducing a program called Extreme Intuitive Insights. And what Extreme Intuitive Insights is bringing in what we call non-purple devices into our cloud. So what does that mean? So we already have our switching and our access points and many things that are available in our cloud, but how do I actually bring in more device level data into the cloud? And in this case, Extreme Intuitive Insights, the platform is actually bringing this data into our cloud right from the device root level. In this case, the first one we'll talk to you about is called Zebra Technologies, and it's great. We can bring in all this scanner data. We can look at great things like Wi-Fi connectivity, roaming, application performance. We can even do some things with synthetic transactions, which we really like. Having deployed large number of engineers and technicians, what we really want to do is keep us from having to roll trucks when we don't have to. Zebra has all this great data on each device, but a lot of times you have to go there, put the device in a certain mode to get the errors that are generated from Zebra's great insights. And we want to be able to bring all those insights to you wherever you may be. So whether you're within the office, whether you're working from home as an engineer, how can we give you this data so that we can reduce that time you may have to hop in the truck and actually put boots on the ground? Yuri will show you a lot more information on this. I'm not going to steal his thunder, but that's the concept. We bring in Zebra devices, non-purple devices, and we do great things. Next slide, please. And really what it's also about, and Yuri will show you this, so often we look at devices when we're troubleshooting, and there's, I had hundreds of thousands of devices on my network at one time. When there is an issue, how do you ascertain what devices specifically, where the issue resides? And what we do is we bring in this ability with Zebra, and this is truly a 1+1 alliance partnership. 1 + 1 = 3 in this case, where Zebra is actually engaging with the Extreme sales folks. We have Zebra sales folks. There is a license on the Zebra side that enables this great data via SDK and via API. This data comes into our cloud directly. So basically how this works is we get that true 360 device capability that we're talking about by bringing in this data together, overlaying the network data plus the device level data, plus we get some raw data as well from the Zebra clouds. We bring all those things together. We start to get some intelligence about what's actually happening. And one thing important to note is we get a lot of great things from beyond, say, that MAC address or maybe that IP address. It doesn't really help you into understanding what the device is, where it is, what it's doing, what the performance is. This true 360-degree view is going to give you that perhaps you have a TC65 series device. It's going to give you the IP. It's going to give you the serial. It's going to give you the SIM card information. Yuri will go through that, but the opportunity is that with all this different information available that's right there while you're troubleshooting the network, we can do some really great things with that. So the concept is bring in Zebra devices into our cloud directly, bring in all this great data sets, bring in locationing capabilities, bring in other opportunities so that we can get to the root of the problem, solve the business problems maybe before they happen from some capabilities we have to give us some information. And what's interesting, and you'll see in Yuri's demo, is when we have the network data and its perception of how the AP sees things, and then we have the device and the perception of how it sees things, when we look at things like signal strength and perhaps RSSI, in some of these areas where material properties are always changing, yesterday it may have been a warehouse full of cardboard boxes, today it may be steel boxes. So there's this dynamic shift in these physics of the actual building. A lot of times the devices we found are showing different interpretation of how they see the signal than the network. And in some of these situations where there may be additional challenges in the RF environment or the extents of a hallway or something like that, the difference between the network seeing it at -75 RSSI versus 85, that could be a huge difference in performance. So we can look at those capabilities. This is just a quick preview. We're very happy to show you additional deeper dive, give you more information. But with that, we're going to turn it over to the star of the show, Yuri, for our demo. And thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Doug. Let me move to the demo. For the next 8 to 10 minutes, I will be showing you the technical demo of Extreme Intuitive Insights. If you are already familiar with Extreme Cloud IQ, so you will find this screen is something you already know too, but there is a new button, new actually link going right from here on the top right icon here with the 9 dots. And when you click on those dots, it will bring you to the new platform, which we called Extreme Cloud Apps. And from here, you can launch Extreme Intuitive Insights. Right now, I'm launching it as a network administrator. So far, we have 2 types of personas you can launch the application. One is network admin, as technically have access to everything, all locations, all possible widgets and dashboard. And another persona is the IT director. Usually IT director, they're usually not interested in technical information. They just want to see that all the blinking lights are up and running. We definitely will be listening more from our customers, and if there are any needs for additional personas, we will work towards that and probably create a different set of the user experience views. But for now, we have 2 just to show that we can do multiple personas. Once you launch the application, it brings you to the dashboard. In the dashboard, actually, first thing you will notice is the bar with notification. Right now, actually, I have just a couple of devices running in my house. It's not too much information here, only 2 devices, only one site. So you see only like 1 notification right now. That's one of the devices down. What else you can see here is if some batteries are below 10%, it will be shown here. So you probably need to charge devices, X amount of devices. When you click on them on this link, it will bring you to the list of devices you need to charge. And another cool part is it will raise a notification if the device actually crossed the boundary of your geofencing. So you can define the location where the device is supposed to be. And if it happens that device moved away and connected to someplace else, let's say to a different store or warehouse, or maybe even like somebody else's house or Wi-Fi, or even somebody, some devices has a SIM card inside, it's connected to tower and couple of miles away from a dedicated location, it will raise a notification that the device is misplaced. Here you will see the top 5 sites. I mean, right now you see only 1 because I have only 1 site. Those top 5 defined by the number of devices and number of errors and events. On the right, you will see a couple of badges, like how many devices need to be charged, like battery level and active analysis in progress. I will cover that later. I will explain you what's active analysis. There are other widgets such as events by location, and you can compare it to the number versus to yesterday, to last week and last month, number of total errors for the last 24 hours, change in warnings, the threatened warnings, also comparable to the last week or last month, and how many devices are up and down, and actually where does it go? Is it up or down? Like how many devices, is the number of devices up or down, right? So you always have on top those two badges where you see the number of devices up and down per the model number, which is quite useful, especially for initial troubleshooting. Let's say mobile administrator of mobile devices push some update for a particular model like TC52 or TC56, and you see all of them actually became into this batch offline. So something wrong probably with the software which has been pushed. This is already something people found useful. Now I'm just navigating to the list of devices. Actually, the onboarding of devices is super simple. All you need to put is just a serial number. And on the device itself, it has to be installed. Extreme agent need to be installed. The agent is approved by Zebra, and it's running on technically it would be running on every device, which need to be seen here. There is no any configuration from the agent, so it will behave as any network device like access point. It will be as soon as connected to internet, it will find its place at home in the cloud, and it will start sending multiple data streams. So we actually harvesting a few data streams from a couple of different sources. One of the source is Open Public Android API. And another one is the Zebra API. So now I will talk about the Android API, Android data, which provides to us. One device connected to the network, you will see some information taken directly from the device, such as the device name, you see the IP address, you see the MAC address. The location, that's the location which is something assigned by administrator. So for example, right now, it's this device is assigned to my location, to my beautiful house in outskirts of Toronto, and if it found on a place out of the proximity of this device, the notification will be raised as I mentioned before. And another column here, we call it GPS, and we know not every Zebra device has GPS inside, but it doesn't matter. Apparently, we found that Google services provide us a great information about the location of the device. So with GPS or without GPS, it will always show us a real location of the device. Again, it may be more accurate or less accurate, depends on the technology used in the device itself, but so far we found it works pretty well. Another information, we do see the battery, the charge of the battery. So usually right now it's just plugged to the wall, so it's always 100%. But if it goes down, usually it moves around the stores or warehouses, and the charge would go down. Eventually, in the next version, we will bring even more data point about batteries. There are about 14 to 15 different data points, such as battery depreciation, when the battery was installed, what was the serial number, and so on and so forth. So, for example, it will give more details for analysis to like when you need to replace the batteries, what need to be done in this direction. Another information such as a model number, the host name usually how it would appear in your services, in your network services like DNS and DHCP servers, that will usually appear like this name instead of the device name itself. That's what we found. The high level of the operation system, and coolest part is the very detailed software level information. So what package was installed from Zebra, right? That's also people find very, very useful, because when somebody calling to Zebra or to us first with a trouble ticket, the first question we usually ask what the software is installed. So here you have at your fingertips. Another information is how much the device was up to, the SSID is connected to, and the disk space used. So the interesting part is that we can dig in and see actually the details about each individual device. So again, when you click on the device, on the left side, I see the same information that I just showed you earlier, plus the real location of this this device. Here in this widget, this is information we retrieve directly from Android API. It provides us an RSSI information over time directly from the device. So if it happens that device is connected to one of our access point, let's say it's a cloud native access point or Wing access point or campus access point, we can always match and correlate this information with information retrieved from the AP. So this is quite interesting when sometimes you see that actually device provides you information and access point provides information, and there are differences in like all the way to 10, 11 dBs easily, because AP is just guessing about the device, right? It's trying to see the RSSI from the device, but actually it's not real information, right? It's very close to real, but it's not real. So it usually repeats the same waves, but this information people also find quite useful. Another line here you see at the bottom is the noise floor, AP noise floor. That's actually information only possible to retrieve from access point. Unfortunately, Android doesn't provide such information. There are other things which we can correlate from the same account of XIQ are the usage packets and client trail. This is something already available in Cloud IQ and Cloud IQ Client 360. So you can see the roaming that's actually reported by the access points, not by the devices. The coolest widgets here, so I'll show you on a different device, are those status and events and web response. That's I need to talk a little bit more. The status and events widget is something we're getting directly from Zebra API. As you remember, I mentioned that we're harvesting from multiple sources. One of the sources, Zebra API. Zebra API is quite interesting thing because it has very low level access to the SDK chipset on the device. So it provides you way more information than what you can gather with just a high level operation system such as Android. To put normally, so you will see multiple colors here like green, red if device is offline, blue or purple. So I'll try to explain what are those colors mean. So when you see the green,
Here you got about a minute.
Okay, so technically, what I want to say is that you're able to put a device into active analysis mode. It can be voice roaming or roaming analysis or voice analysis. So in such situation, the device is placed into active analysis mode when it's sending packets such as pings, trace routes, SIP, and RTP type of traffic, and it comes back here, and you can see all the cool statistical information, like how many, like what was the average RSSI, voice latency, average packets, and so on and so forth. You can drill in and see more information about the time. Around the time. I believe I'm out of time right now, and please give me any questions if you need to discuss more or schedule another demo. I'm always open to do that. Thank you.
Sorry, I was on mute. Thank you, Yuri and Doug. Great information. The demo is great, so we could see actual data that it passes over, and administrators can see from the same system they're looking at through their Wi-Fi. You know, I was working with a business in central US over the past year, and real difficult problem to solve with the new Wi-Fi system they had. They had Zebra scanners, and they were having problems with the new system. You know, I had to arrange sessions with their staff and me and Zebra staff and Extreme staff to try to find what's going on with these Zebra devices. It took a lot of time, and this kind of information would have speeded that process up. Ultimately, it was unrelated to the Zebra devices, and we found the problem was on the network with port security on switches. But you can eliminate things and find out a lot more information with this type of capability. What Barcodes Group can offer. So this slide talks a little bit about or shows how barcodes can add value to the already great information you can get from Extreme and Zebra. We're a solution partner of both Extreme and Zebra. We have teams that offer troubleshooting, sales, design, deployment, support, all those services to get the solutions implemented and maintained. One number to call for those. You'll notice some of the services we offer on the slides. Just briefly, on the wireless and LAN side, our managed services and professional services routinely do on-site assessments and surveys, as well as predictive designs to get Wi-Fi from the get-go working reliably. Those are often the starting point, but they can also be used, the surveys can also be used for troubleshooting and finding out what's wrong with people's existing Wi-Fi. So we gather information about, business objectives, requirements, all the important things that the businesses use and use the Wi-Fi for, the technology for, and then we design a custom solution. We offer turnkey services like you might see on this slide. Like, we do the racking, we do the cabling, data, we can set up the data closets, we can mount the APs, do the configuration and provide the ongoing troubleshooting to be your partner. Barco's also on the Zebra side and the device side has experts as well. For the mobile devices, for robotics, for RFID, for vision scanners. We have flexible service bundles that provide turnkey IT assistance with deployment, repair, and support. I'm running a little low on time. Next slide. So our goal is to partner with our customers, improve your operations, provide future-proof technology. And we could be, like I mentioned, the one company to call for the Wi-Fi and the devices. At this point, we have a little time to talk about any common questions people might have after seeing the demo and talking about this a little bit. I don't see any open questions in the Q&A. If you have time to stay over, if you do have some questions, go ahead and ask them. Our panelists have already said they have a few minutes to stay extra. Otherwise, we'll just use this last couple minutes to ask some questions that a lot of customers have. For example, isn't this just like a mobile device management platform, Doug?
Yeah, Paul, great question. We get this a lot. So I have deployed lots of mobile device management platforms, AirWatch and the many others, and really usually they're focused on very specific things. Two things: security, things like selective remote wipe, password enforcement, etc., or some sort of application lockdown and deployment. So what we look for there is, this is completely different than that. This is only looking at network and device performance. It's really to extend the capabilities of our cloud and the capabilities of our dashboarding and tools to bring in one place all the data that we can to facilitate better and more proactive troubleshooting. So really not taking the stance. Now, you could deploy this with an MDM. There is a component, a Zebra supported agent that goes out on the devices. You could utilize that to put the software out there. There's several ways to do that. It's very easy. But this is not intended to replace, compete, or anything with the MDM platforms themselves.
Sure. It is 30 minutes after. For those of you, there are some Q&As that have come in, and we'll talk about those. So thank you. If you're able to stay extra, that'd be great. Otherwise, thank you for joining the webinar today on Extreme Intuitive Insights. If you want to learn more, this is just a sample to show you some things about it, get you interested in it. If you want to learn more about it, like Yuri said, have more of a demo, talk more about your use cases. We look forward to hearing from you. Next slide. So my contact information is here, along with our general number and our Canadian number. We can reach out and deal with you as a team that is dedicated to your business. We'll get your account manager involved and me, and we can talk more deeply about these products. So thank you for joining today. Have a great rest of the day. For those that ask questions, we'll address those. So Doug, one question was, we spoke a lot about Zebra. Does this work with other devices? TSC, Honeywell, Intermec?
Our second most popular question. We're hitting them in row. So this is, we touched on this really briefly. Extreme Intuitive Insights. The intent is to bring many vendors in, but we want to bring in vendors with a lot of value of data. So Zebra is the first one to go generally available. We have a number of announcements. We're working with a large number of vendors. I can't disclose the names quite yet, but some of them on the list are definitely in our targets. We have active ongoing conversations with some of them. The intent is to bring as many non-Purple devices as possible into our cloud, and we'll be happy to share some more information as it becomes available.
Another question, what is needed and what's the cost to use this technology?
Great question. So the great thing that we like about this most is it's not supply shortage constrained, meaning the supply chain, if you're trying to get access points or trying to get Zebra devices, it can be challenging in this day and age. So the great thing is you do not need to have any hardware as part of the orders that are available for these licenses. So it's simple. There's an Extreme license and a Zebra license. You put those together, and that creates the capability to enable the SDK and API on the Zebra devices, and it's sent directly into our cloud. The cost, we can talk about that. There is two components there, the Extreme and Zebra component. It is cost per device, a license per device on both sides, but we're talking a handful of dollars per device per year. There is single year, multi-year options available, and we're getting a lot of really great customers that are saying that there's a lot of value in this additional license capability.
Doug, this is definitely a solution that works best with Extreme Cloud IQ access points in the cloud, but the Extreme Cloud, but does it work with other, or is it going to work with, so they wouldn't have to rip and replace if they have Zebra or these other future, devices that are going to be included in this in the future?
Yeah, great question. So there is, from the Extreme portfolio perspective, we basically have 3 flavors of wireless. All 3 of those work. So if you're in the Motorola, legacy side, the Wing side, that works. If you're on the campus controller side, that works. Of course, if it's Extreme on Extreme with Zebra, you get more data, but we also have the ability to bring in some of the device level data, even if you're on a competitor network. So it doesn't necessarily have to be you have Extreme or you have this flavor of Extreme. We can bring in some very comprehensive data on all those points.
Oh, a couple more questions came in. So the info comes straight from the devices. Is there an option for a program to sit on a server or something and pull data from the devices that cannot use the API or SDK?
Right now, the Zebra devices that are supported, and it's Android 8 or higher, all support the API because it's Zebra's API SDK. So that is being sent up into our cloud direct. As far as roadmap for other EII devices, we're looking at doing all sorts of other type of data collection, whether that's protocol-based stuff. You talk syslog, you talk other types of protocols. We do have a solution that is coming out shortly to support this program. So
also, I can clarify because the question is, can the information be directly from the device to somebody's server? The Zebra API, actually, it's something running internally on the device, so you would need to have develop your own agent if you want to do that. So that's why we develop our own agent, and it's approved by Zebra. This agent actually takes the API information from the device and then sending it to our cloud. That's how it works.
Doug, did you still have that slide on the current Zebra devices that work with Extreme Intuitive Insights? And we realize this is a growing list, and it's going to include other manufacturers as well. But
Absolutely.
I don't know if you can share that, or Yuri has a way.
Yuri, if you stop sharing, I can share it pretty quickly. There we go. So when we talk about supply constraints, you'll see there's literally millions of devices that are in production that fall into these categories. And there's millions of devices in common for joint Extreme and Zebra customers. So if it's anything on this list that we can support it today, Zebra has discussed that they're probably not going to support Android 12. They're going to go right to Android 13 from a business perspective. So just keep in mind that's something in flight, as well as more supported capabilities come out and more operating systems. It's something on the roadmap.
Great. Looks like Yuri's typing an answer to Harry's question about if Meraki and Cisco APs are supported.
Yeah, I can answer that. Yes, some correlation data will be missed. So if you remember, I was like showing RSSI from both from data from device and from AP. So the information from AP would be missed, but still like great information such as events coming from Zebra API, from Android API, you still would be able to get regardless of network infrastructure. And also in the future, we are looking to get and use Open API from Meraki and other vendors to do more correlation with them as well, but not for now.
Great. Thanks, Cody and Harry, for all the great questions. There's nothing more right now. So like I said, if you want to learn more, reach out to us, reach out to me directly if you need to, or don't hesitate to. If you don't know your Barcode's account manager, otherwise, thanks for joining. Have a great day.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everybody. Yeah.
Thank you.